We are here live, more or less. I'm Rick Rosen with Mark Anthony. This is Good Sports. Good afternoon, Mark. What's going on in your neck of the country?
Good afternoon. Yeah.
I,
Not much, actually.
I don't see. Do you change as often as the map seems to change from day to day with different parts of the world switching allegiances or hands or whatever? Do you update your map very often?
Nah. Sooner or later, it'll go back to where it's supposed to be.
Out of chaos comes order. Yeah, okay.
Exactly.
That's a good theory. I don't know if it's going to work here. Yeah, right. Mark, the Houston Astros are leading the National League. I mean, the American League now. Houston, in the American League, they were in the National League for so long. From the Astros, they started out as the Colt 45s, believe it or not, and then became the Houston Astros. That's where we got AstroTurf and all that. Now they're in the American League, and they're kicking some butt in the Central. And Houston was crappy for a long time, got all those first-round draft picks, made some trades of some aging veterans, and have just stockpiled arm upon arm upon arm for their pitching staff. And now it's coming to fruition. Houston is a legitimate contender to hold the World Series trophy at the end of the year. So baseball heading down the playoff stretch, man. Who's your team?
Too early.
Don't say the Twinkies. Don't say the Twinkies.
Kirby's been dead too long, man.
Yeah.
See, the problem with baseball is there's so many freaking games. You know, they play six days a week. I mean, anything can happen.
Yeah.
In the next 48 hours. So I don't know how. I don't know how bettors make money betting on baseball.
I'll tell you exactly how bettors make money betting on baseball, and now is not the time of the year to do it. But baseball is a long season, 100 games, and the only system that I've ever seen work, Mark, and work over and over and over, is the guy will lay off the first 2 or 3 games, particularly of a 4-game series. You mentioned that they play 6 days a week. That 3 games travel, have that 1 day off, and then play 3 more is generally how it goes on the schedule. Sometimes they have 2 days between, but you're right. They get a day off if they're lucky. And they, when a team wins the first 2, you take the loser of the first, because a lot more teams split 1 and 2 than they do go down 0 and 3. So you bet on the team no matter who's pitching, no matter how crap, I don't care what else is happening. Fewer teams get swept. Many more teams complete that, break up the sweep rather than get swept. So that's the only real way I've ever seen to make money at baseball. I've known guys who handicap the umpires and the pitchers and the second string shortstop and the bat boys, and they have stats this long and they still lose their ass. Okay. The only thing that I've worked, guys don't give a damn who's pitching.
Okay.
Who lost the first 2 games of the series? We go to the second game. Now, playoff push, it's a little different.
Okay, so whoever wins the first 2 games, you bet against them on the final 2 games.
Yeah, right.
Okay.
Because if you just look at the schedule, many fewer teams sweep a 3-game series, then get split. So when somebody's up 2-0, now if the first 2 are split, then you're out of luck. You go to the next thing. But it's situational. You find where a team has won the first 2, or particularly the first 3 of a 4-game set. It's not as rare as Amish electricity, but it's a pretty rare occurrence that they have a 4-game sweep. I mean, somebody really has to go on a roll to get 4 in a row. It's just that's really the only thing I've ever seen work.
You're mentioning how they handicap, and I remember when I was back in Minnesota, and and the Twinkies were the Twinkies, and the guys that I worked with, I mean, they knew the stats, they knew the RBIs and what he did in college and what he ate for breakfast 6 years ago, and they knew everything about these players. And I would look at the one guy and go, "When's your wife's birthday?" And he'd look at me and go, okay, so knew when Kirby Puckett last took a dump, but you don't know when your wife's birthday is. Okay.
That's right. All right. What's the difference between a golf ball and a G spot?
What's the difference between a golf ball and a G spot? Oh God.
I asked you first. Yes. What's the difference between a golf ball and a G spot?
Almost afraid to ask on that one.
A man will search all day long trying to find
a golf ball.
Same thing. Don't know my wife's birthday. I couldn't remember her birthday, so I got rid of the wife. That was somewhat expedient on my part.
That's not how she told me last night.
Sex is a more often occurrence now. It's unfortunate that I'm alone, but all things considered, I'm just saying. So anyhow, baseball's coming down to the short strokes mark on September 1st. The parent teams will be able to call up 15 players that are in their minor league system, and it's not just guys that come up from AAA. Some of these cats are in AA, and they want to give them a big time and see how they're going to do, and give them some motivation. Some of these kids are there simply to help out. Their pitching staff at this point of the season always needs whatever rest they can get for those arms, and so if you have a AAA or AA, and the rest of the major leagues have not seen him and do not have a good book on him, the players keep their own. Some of them keep them up in their heads. Some of them keep them books of pitchers and their tendencies and what they throw in what situations. The book's not out on these kids that come up in September, at least first time around. He's going up there and throwing 1 and 2 hitters that were good pitchers in AAA and AA, but nothing to write home and tell mom about, or they'd already been up. But they come up on that September 1st, man, and they come out there throwing everything that know what they're seeing. The next time they play them, if they see this pitcher again, then they shell him, because now everybody knows what he's going to do. So it's a good time to be a baseball fan. There's a lot of teams in the hunt. The Yankees looked like they were going in the dumpster, and I'll be damned if A-Rod doesn't come to the rescue again. I don't know what this guy has to do to redeem himself baseball-wise. We let a lot of – Mark McGwire's back in baseball. He's the batting instructor. You know what I mean? You have a lot of guys who are tainted by that same thing that A-Rod was, and they're part of baseball. And, yet still we screw Pete Rose. But I digress. Anyway, A-Rod has had the most incredible season for a guy who turned 40 in the middle of it, or towards a month or so ago. He's having a wonderful season. There are kids 25 years old who would trade his stats straight up right now. And he's been doing it with the bat. He's been doing it with the glove. He's been doing everything in clutch situations. A-Rod now has hit more grand slam home runs than anyone in baseball history. Lou Gehrig, I think that's the record he broke. I think A-Rod now has 25 grand slam home runs. He's not only hitting for power, but he's doing it at opportune times. A lot of the stuff he's done has been 8th, 9th inning stuff. So, you got to give, and my God, if that guy's doing steroids still, he's a special kind of stupid. And one of the wags on and said, well, he's never failed a drug test. Well, okay. I think he kind of lost the people that were helping him do that, since I think the cat's still in prison that was supplying the drugs and those kind of things. Yeah. So I don't believe the same pipeline is there and available. And it would be beyond a special stupid for A-Rod to still be doing anything like that. I mean, you're talking about $25 million bucks. All things. I'm listening.
Okay. Baseball seems to be the only major professional sports where they can literally, right before playoffs, change the entire roster of the team. They can basically bring in a whole new team.
40% more, yeah. Mark. Yeah, it is an odd thing. It is strange. There are reasons, but at least they do it consistently, and they do it for both teams. So it's happened before, and they gear their. It's almost like a race strategy in NASCAR. They gear their strategy for that pit stop that happens on September 1st when we can get some fresh arms in. And then they have to cut down. If they do go ahead and make the playoffs, then they have cut back to 25 guys. But if you're on the roster, you can be on the playoff roster. They can't leave you out and then all of a sudden in the middle of the playoffs bring you up from AA. You're out of luck. You have to bring somebody in that's been on Major League. They have waivers and all kinds of little minuscule type things that keep somebody from just doing it willy-nilly. But for the most part, these guys get called up, and so they help a team. You know, one game, a lot of times it comes down to one game more, one game less. And if these kids can come up and get a taste of the big team win, you know, it's just how baseball works. I don't think it's an incredibly efficient system, but at least it does. You look at what some of the other sports. I mean, my God, football, crappy teams, basketball, crappy teams. Make the playoffs. At least baseball has kept it to a couple of wild card teams. Most everybody that makes the playoffs in baseball is deserving. There are at least 500 teams. But you have both football, hockey, the other three sports, the other three big three sports. All that crappy teams in simply because of how they have the playoffs set up. And if you win your division, you're in. Well, okay. But if you win a crappy division and somebody gets left out with a better team, and they're talking about doing the reseeding now. They're talking about not having that be such an overwhelming factor that you won your division. So a team with a better record is going to be higher seeded rather than just simply to have, we were the NFC North champions. If your record's not good enough to hold your seed, then you don't get it. So, you know, that's going to be some change in football, which football's about to go on. Mark, I'm out of the corner of my eye. I'm looking at the big fight between the Rams and the Cowboys, and you know, there's these are teams. They let them at each other. You've been doing nothing but hitting a teammate in an incredibly testosterone-fueled sport, and you have guys whose paycheck, whose future, whose millions of dollars ride on making this first team, on getting on this team now, or their options are incredibly limited. They're in a camp now. Coaches know them. They see them. They might actually know their name. They see this system, and they're trying their darndest to make this team, and they finally get to hit somebody wearing a different colored uniform. And one of the parts of making a football team, Mark, making any kind of team like that, hockey teams, same way. You sooner or later have to prove you're tough enough. You're man enough to be able to handle the rigors and handle the mano-a-mano stuff, because that's what it comes down to. I think I can whip you. I think I can beat you into submission, and I don't believe you can. And I believe I can beat you into submission, and that's how these things go, whether it's boxing or whatever. But in football, you have to show your manhood at some time, or nobody respects you, and you're not going to be on the team. You're not going to be able to maintain it. So it's a fine line. They're bitching about the fights and this and that, and you know, rarely do people get hurt in football fights because they're wearing armor. It's like watching two knights hit each other. Okay, you know, lift the face mask now and again, and we'll see what happens. But you know, the idiots are the guys that take off their helmets. And there's nothing really going to happen to you while you're standing up if somebody hits you, unless they hit you with another helmet. And even then, I want to be wearing my helmet. If somebody's going to tattoo me in the head, I want to have a helmet around it first. So anyway, I think these fights are much ado about nothing. They are simply the result of a bunch of pent-up emotions and that one little bit of release. And some guys, you know, guys who are in this camp or that camp, there's always those kind of little scenarios that lead to a trigger. But it seems when one guy's pissed off wearing Dallas Cowboys uniform and a guy from the Rams doesn't like it and they start fighting, everybody decides, oh my God, it's on. It's jailbreak time. It's in 65 time, and all hell breaks loose. And then they go, the game is over, and then they hear from the league office, we don't want you doing that. It's like NASCAR. We don't want boys being boys. Oh, nobody gets suspended when Kevin Harvick pushes Brad Keselowski into the middle of in the middle of the ring. All they needed was Kenny Bayless and Michael Buffer. They could have had a big pay-per-view thing, but so. Yeah, you know, it keeps the name in the spotlight. It keeps the sport. It's kind of tough to get a headline anymore. Particularly, you look whatever's going on politically. You have to share when sports had their own particular seasons, when they didn't cross over so much. Okay, you were good. Baseball's coming up in a couple 3 weeks before the season. Teams, your pitchers and catchers report to training camp in February, and you're getting ready. And here comes spring, and you're doing baseball. Now basketball goes till June. Baseball's in mid-season by the time basketball and hockey end. And then they start, football starts in June and July. And so it's a year-round thing. So they have to compete against each other, which they didn't used to have to do for that space on the sports page. And that space, but which story are we? Are we the first story on Sports Center, or are we down the line at number 8? So, there is that constant competition, Mark, that I don't think we've had before. Some of the controversy is this week. Eli Manning was mistakenly quoted as saying he wanted to be the highest paid quarterback in the NFL. I believe he's going to. Just how things have worked out, even if they franchise tag Eli Manning, he's going to be the highest paid quarterback with this new contract. And they're thinking that he might only sign a 1-year contract and make his $23 million or whatever it is if they franchise him, and test the free agent waters, which he has been around the league long enough to do. And guys that have won 2 Super Bowls and done the things that Eli has done and be related to a great quarterback like Peyton Manning, I guess you're going to get, he's not going to give up this job and go start building homes out of mud in the middle of nowhere, Africa. He's going to be playing football somewhere, But anyway, Eli's not. When they said that Eli had said he wanted to be the highest paid quarterback, I was like, man, of all things I've heard, and it's not like we're best friends, but of all the things I know and have heard and seen from Eli Manning, that ain't part of his deal. I just don't think he's as money driven and that ego driven. I think Eli's a pretty cool dude, and sometimes that almost costs him. He's not as fiery, I think, as some NFL quarterbacks are. Rivers comes to mind at San Diego, the guy that was traded. He and Eli swapped places. San Diego drafted Eli, and New York had Phillip Rivers, and they made that draft day trade. And Eli didn't want to play in San Diego for whatever reasons. And 2 Super Bowl victories later, Eli's there. But I really don't think that he said it. If he said it, it was taken out of context. But Eli Manning is going to be the highest paid quarterback in the NFL. Just how things have played out. Guys aren't due for their renewal. Russell Wilson just signed his contract, and he's younger than Eli. So, things have worked out that Eli is going to be the highest paid quarterback. So, but I don't think he was going to sit out or anything. It's just worked out that way. I really don't think it's a big issue, but must have been a slow day, and they made something out of that. So, injuries, Mark. Lots and lots of injuries, which we have at training camp every year. Every year they talk about we need to do away with the preseason. There's no reason to have these guys out there beating each other up, and for the most part, they're right. Once you've made the NFL, God, how many more practices do you need to run an off-tackle play and to do things you don't need to hit following running the play? You need to get the play down, the execution of the play. So. Exhibition games are just an ad. I mean, I don't think they pay the price now. It's in December when these games really catch up to them. What they've done in August, and just another game and the drudgery of it. So I think they could probably take at least a couple of the games out of the preseason, Mark, and not be any worse for the wear. And honest to God, you can get an idea of if a guy can play or not in a couple games or at practice or whatever. If you need more than that, well, okay, somebody's going to slip through the cracks. But I think just with the injury list, do you realize that Peyton Manning, even though the Broncos are pretty decent favorites to win the Super Bowl, Peyton Manning will have 3 rookie linemen in front of him. Peyton Manning, he of the neck surgery and the stuff and the older legs and the whatever. Okay, Brock Osweiler's a pretty good prospect, although he only played 1 year at Arizona State, and he's been holding the clipboard for Peyton Manning. I don't think he reminds anyone of Steve Young sitting behind Joe Montana. So there's not a groundswell of it's Peyton done. Get rid of him and let's put Brock in. So that's where the Broncos are going to land. They're one injury to Peyton Manning away from being a pretty mundane team. They've got a great defense. They got Wade Phillips back, but injuries, injuries, trades, defections, those kind of things have left them with 3 offensive linemen in front of Peyton Manning, who's 39 years old or something like that. So anyway, your Minnesota Vikings, of course, gave up the greatest home field advantage ever for the benefit of the fans who now say, we want to wait a minute, you had what you needed to win a damn championship. You gave it up for $8 beers inside. You didn't have to warm the beer. We cooled it. So I mean, you didn't chill the beer. It did it itself in Minnesota. But
well, come on.
Good comeback. I like it.
Yeah, you betcha.
Here, it could be the Raiders year, I'm telling you right now. It could be Raider time. Just so you know. I mean, I'm telling you now, the Raiders finally have a Raider as a coach. His name's Jack Del Rio. He never played for the Raiders, but when he played at Southern California, when he's played in the NFL, he played like a Raider. He always had that nasty streak, that just mean, okay, I hit you, now on my way by, I'm going to stick my elbow in your ear. Here, take this back to the huddle with you. So that's how Jack Del Rio played. That's how the Raiders have always thrived. For guys who are so technically sound, but kind of fragile, they don't like playing the Raiders. I'm not as good as you, so I have to kick you in the dick every once in a while to slow you down. Oh, okay, wait a minute. We got to do what? And that's kind of how the Raiders go about things, and I guess that's why I've always liked them. But it's going to be interesting to see how this works out. They have David Carr. They have a young team. They've got some talent. They've got some pretty decent defense if they can maintain their health. Because teams are up and coming, it's depth as much as anything, Mark. And then we're back to that injury issue. When you have good depth and guys can step in and step up for a couple of weeks and let somebody heal up, you're pretty much going to be in the hunt. If you're down to your third string guy, 2-3 weeks into the season, you're in deep caca, because nobody lets anybody worth a damn out in the middle of the season. They're certainly not going to help anybody that can potentially keep them from winning a Super Bowl. So they don't mind shipping somebody to Tampa. But they'll trade for Tampa's good guys that are sitting, but nobody's going to trade anybody that's going to help Green Bay win the Super Bowl. Nobody's going to help the Patriots win the Super Bowl. They're not going to give them any talent unless they absolutely don't have any other options. Very rare occasion. So anyhow, football season be upon us.
So who's going to move into the new LA stadium?
Oh, I don't think there's any question it's going to be the Raiders and the Chargers, much as the Lakers and the Clippers share the Staples Center. Now LA is going to have two football teams, which hopefully they'll put a all-star team together between them and just cancel one of them and call them the Ragers. There you go. We'll call them the Ragers, the Raiders and the Chargers. It's a combination thing. During World War II, they put the Steelers and the Eagles together. And they were called the Steagles. That's a real deal.
Okay.
Eaglers would have been just as good. Yeah, they didn't have enough guys to have two separate teams, so they put them together. They were the Steagles. You can look it up. I suppose I should have used it.
Steelers and Eagles. All right.
Steelers and Eagles. Yeah, Steagles. It came out when they had the steel pennies. Remember the steel pennies?
Yeah, I do.
Get them from 1943 or thereabouts? Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm really that old. Thank you.
You've seen them, though. Damn, they have old coins where you're from. Do they use coins yet in Minnesota? Or are you guys still on the rock and fish and beaver pelts and stuff? Do you actually use coins and currency?
Yeah, we do once in a while.
Okay, good. Yeah, well, and you talked about country. Okay, let's not be the pot calling the kettle black here, pal. So, okay, Mark, couple things coming up. JB Mooney has moved into second place over Ricardo Vera, not over him, but certainly breathing right down his neck. And as we've always said, I know I'm a huge fan of JB Mooney's. I don't know if I've ever seen as talented a bull rider in all the times that I've seen him, and I've watched a lot of bull rides. There's just something about the way JB Mooney gets on that bull and doesn't get off that makes him, if he's healthy, here again, if he's healthy, he's going to win it.
Yes, I think this year is going to be like last year. It is going to go that coming into the World Finals, it's going to be neck and neck. It's just that's what it's shaping up.
You know, the only guy out of all the Brazilian contingent that ever beat anybody by just showing up, as far as I'm concerned, was Adriano Moraes.
Yes.
They knew when Adriano was in the hunt, they were all fighting for second place most of the time. And the only guy from the American side that I see that has that kind of swagger, that has that kind of deal, is JB Mooney. And you see when he shows up and when he's in you just see a difference. I don't know what it is. The Brazilian contingent, for as many more Americans there as there are than there are Brazilians, and particularly in the PBR, the showing that they make and the championships that they've won and the impact they've had on pro bull riding, it's very, very hard to overstate. But, you know, you can look at JB Mooney and say, man, if that kid had come from Rio de Janeiro or somewhere Brasilia or somewhere in Brazil, he would fit right in with that Brazilian contingent, how he rides in bulls. He's going to stay on until his fingernail on his little finger is off of that rope. He's still counting it as a ride, you know, and he has a wonderful clock in his head to get to that 8 seconds. So I really think JB Mooney is the guy to beat, even though he's in second place. He's made up quite a few points, and he's riding very well. And by the way, Shorty Gorman, Gorham, him too. Gorman, I have football, UNLV football in the mind. Of course, Tony Sanchez went from Gorman. But Shorty Gorham, one of the world's greatest bullfighters, had his birthday yesterday. We want to wish Shorty a belated birthday. Yeah, when's your birthday, dude?
Yours is in November. Mine's in January.
Well, I knew when mine was. Yeah, January. Well, my oldest son, Jim, January 24th, was born on the day the Niners won their first ever Super Bowl. And let Dad get home in time from the my ex woke me at 4:30 in the morning. My ex woke me maybe 3:30, 4 o'clock in the morning, and said, because we were expecting Jim somewhere around the second week of February, is what the doctor had said. My mom's birthday was February 10th, so we were thinking that's going to be cool and, you know, whatever. So we had a waterbed that was inside of a mattress cocoon, and it was very comfortable. I'd gotten it when I worked at Ward's, and very comfortable. And I woke up, and it seemed like maybe the bed had a leak. And my ex is saying, I think we might be having our baby a little sooner than we thought. You go ahead and go back to sleep. I've got some things to do. Oh, sure. I'll just nod right on off, you know. So got up and we had my daughter Risa was 15 months old at the time. Had to call her godmother to come over and get Risa and babysit her and whatever. And so we actually, I called my parents and my ex's parents and said, we're going to the hospital, and off we went. The night before, well, actually, like I say, as her water burst and here I was laying in the puddle. Okay, let's go. So my wife had been in labor 37 and a half hours with my daughter, our oldest. My grandfather, she was born over Halloween. My daughter's birthday is November 1st. My wife actually started labor the day before Halloween on October 30th. And my grandfather was dying of lung cancer. We had 2 hospitals at home. He was in one. We went to tell him goodbye and love him and kiss him, and we're on the way to have the baby, and he acknowledged that. And about 5 o'clock in the afternoon, they called and said, Grandpa died. And I mean, he was my grandpa, and it's not that Sandy didn't love him, but they gave her a shot to calm her down. She was not all that overly excitable anyway. Anyway, it stopped the labor. And so 37 and a half hours she was in labor. It just stopped most of the process except the pain. And, so for my son, Jim, here it is, Super Bowl Sunday, morning of, and of course, we go to the hospital, and they had taken the television out of the waiting room at the labor room. So you sat there at Super Bowl Sunday, and there's nothing. I'm looking, there ain't no TV, there ain't nothing. So I just had my arm operated on, so I said, okay, I'm going to take Risa home. I'm going to call the babysitter. I'm going to take Risa home. I'll be back in an hour and a half, something like that. I'll make sure she has breakfast, and I'll be back. Thinking, okay, it took 37 and a half hours for this one. It's going to take a few more hours for that one. I go home. I get the babysitter for Risa, get breakfast started for her, grab my little portable TV, stop at the 7-Eleven, get some donuts or whatever to take to everybody that's waiting around, and get back. I grab a newspaper, Sunday newspaper, and I get back, and I'm looking around, and I'm thinking, wow, I went to the wrong damn room. I'm in the wrong. There must be a second one, and this nurse sticks her head out the door. She says, "Are you the dad?" I said, "I believe so." That's what my wife said, and she says, "Well, you're about to miss it." Holy crap! It's 8:30 in the morning. So I run in. Like I said, I just had my shoulder operated on not very long before, and the doctor who was going to deliver the child had to help me get the little booty things on. And we got in there, and 5 minutes later, he's crying. And it was a very, very quick thing. But he let Dad get home in time to watch the Super Bowl. So I don't really remember the first half. Yeah, I was smoking cigars and partying and called my buddies, and they came over. And what do you do? And they come watch the Super Bowl. We'll celebrate my kid being born. So Jimmy, to this day, he's a very big Niners fan. And a little bit of family animosity there. I'm a Raiders fan. He's a Niners fan. So this year it looks like I might have the upper hand. The Niners are in disarray. But anyway, I don't know if anybody has a better Super Bowl gig than that's the day my kid was born. My oldest son. God gave me a son, and it was on Super Bowl Sunday. Now they don't play the Super Bowl in January anymore. It's a February thing. So I'm working on having another kid. If Mary would cooperate a little bit. We'd time it out. Let me see.
No. Don't, please. No more little Ricks running around. We don't. No.
I beg your pardon.
No. No more little Ricks.
I could adopt
a dog.
Okay. I don't think that's happening anytime soon. Okay. Tom Brady's not going to be suspended for 4 games. Go ahead. I'm listening. I'm all ears.
Okay. For some reason,
Bartany Nass is all ears.
Yeah. Okay. Next year, the PBR World Finals moves to the new MGM Arena, and you're pissing and moaning about that one.
Well, I'm not big. Listen, arena. The Thomas and Mack is old, and they're going to redo it and whatever. And I'm loyal and all that. But honest to God, where they put that arena, you didn't have something you could have torn down. You had the lot across the street from the Mandalay Bay. You had to put it by the intersection of I-15, and there's no parking. There's a lot of bad karma going into that thing, Mark. Well, we want a hockey team, and we don't want to. And Steve Sisolak, our county commissioner, in trying to deflect some of that, instead of just saying, yeah, we probably effed that up. There's no way that's going to work, to have 15,000 people in one place at one time and let them all go at once. If the game ended, everybody go get your car. And now we got 3 cars making it through a stoplight. It's not. It's the wrong location. I'm not so. We probably could have used a facility like that. It's unfortunate where it is. It's the troll under the bridge. It's we got a parking lot. Let's put a new Coliseum out there. Where are the people going to park? So Steve Sisolak says when he goes to games in San Diego, he's used to parking and then walking for half an hour. I think our county commissioner must park in Tijuana to be half an hour away from a game in San Diego. Honest to God, where would you possibly have to park that you couldn't park closer than half an hour's walk away for a San Diego Padres game?
Where did they park?
Last time they were relevant, Elvis was still alive.
Yes. But the PBR used to be at Mandalay Bay, and everyone seemed to park in the parking garage just fine.
Mandalay has the parking garage. There's no parking garage with this thing. There's nothing connected, Mark. And the parking that they're counting on is connected to the casinos. Okay, well, let's figure out, who do you like more? People paying $30 a ticket to go in and watch the PBR, or people throwing $30 every 5 minutes into a slot machine? I think we got a priority issue here, and I think the people that are going into the casinos are going to have as much priority, if not more so, than people that are going to an event, getting back in their car and boogieing. So I would say I've seen better.
Once again, Rick, The next time you visit Las Vegas, I'm going to take you down on the Strip and show you all the new things that have happened since 1955.
I want you to hear this. I believe that they consulted with George W. Bush and Dickless Dick Cheney for the exit strategy for getting out of the damn arena. So anyway, we'll leave it at that, Mark. But no, God bless them. It's nice that we have a brand new facility and whatever it is, an upgrade, this and that. But
if Hillary the convict and Obama the socialist were in charge, they would have put this next to Sam Boyd Stadium.
Yeah, and that pales in comparison to starting a war you do not know how to get out of. It's like a dog chasing a car.
Rick,
okay, we got the car. Now what? Yes. Rick. Tell me the exit strategy. I must have missed the memo.
Yeah.
Was it contained with the? Was it? I know they have it, and it's buried with the weapons of mass destruction somewhere in the desert that Saddam Hussein didn't use when they were 15 miles away. All these weapons of mass destruction. Oh, I own them. I just don't think this is the right time to shoot them off. So,
yeah. So
listen, if we're going to do politics, yeah, well.
So let's just pull everything out and create ISIS. There we go. Let's just go ahead and
President Hillary.
Yes. She's heading for Gitmo.
For email, dear God. If that's, listen, I'm telling you right now, if that's, you say, okay, here's what Hillary did. All right. What did it lead to? No, we're not sure. Benghazi wasn't a good thing.
There's actually four.
I'm just saying. Let me finish.
There's four dead bodies in Benghazi that would argue anything.
That has nothing to do with her emails, Mark. You can't connect the two. This is more than 6 degrees from Kevin Bacon that way.
Oh,
but
God.
what I'm saying is nothing bad has been directed at those emails. We don't know if Edward Snowden got them or somebody used some information that might have been contained in those emails to cost an American their life. That's what I'm saying. Simple fact. That would have come out by now. If somebody had an inkling that might have occurred, that some of those emails might have led to somebody's death, trust me, they'd already been beaten her with it. And I don't think we're all that fair to Republicans.
It just so happens that she had nothing to hide, so she wipes the servers absolutely clean because she has nothing to hide.
Right.
She is so sweet and innocent.
And Tom Brady. Listen, but maybe it was like, okay, Bill, I'll look, okay? I mean, maybe that's what was on there. She has all kinds of stuff. Nonetheless, if somebody had an idea, the good thing is all those emails that were sent out have a recipient. They're not gone. They have recipients. So there's still a source to get to the weapons of mass destruction. Will we concede that they just didn't exist? They're not there. They haven't surfaced yet. ISIS isn't using them. The Bashar Assad isn't using them. Hussein didn't use them. That's because they didn't have them. They would have if they could have. They just didn't have them. So it's why we went to war. I have a dear friend who lost his son in Iraq. We were on the air when Rich Perez Jr. was killed in Iraq. And this is a young man, one of the nicest young men I've ever met, Mark. And he died for money. He died for,
okay,
I do not agree with it, and I do not agree with it. What we did in Afghanistan. Let me finish. What we did in Afghanistan was in response to the attack on the World Trade Centers, and we went after the Taliban for harboring Al Qaeda. And everybody that I know that has any kind of sense understands that was as necessary as anything. That was you've crossed the line, and we're at you. You didn't just kill 5, blowing yourself up in a bar that caters to servicemen in Germany. What you've done is kill more than 2,000 people, and we went after them.
Okay.
In Iraq, it was different. There was a different situation, Mark. And I'm just saying, not to get incredibly political, but there were 2 separate wars with 2 separate agendas and 2 separate things. And we haven't done all that good. It's like everybody's, well, we should never have left Iraq. Well, did you want us to just stay there? We have an unwinnable war. We did that in Vietnam. And it doesn't work. Well, if there was a solution, what the hell was it? Okay.
Once again, Facts.
Sports.
Facts get in the way of a liberal's conversation.
What facts do you have that would suggest that there are? Let me ask you. Tell me one fact, one iota, one scintilla of evidence that you might have that there were the overwhelming factor, the straw that broke the camel's back to get us to war in Iraq. Okay. One scintilla. Okay.
Very
Show
simple.
me one part of a missile. Yes, they're buried where?
Very simple. Under George W. Bush, we had 3 branches of government. We don't have that anymore. 2 of those branches.
That's not what it, Mark. You're how's the weather? My mother was a seamstress. Wait a minute. How's the weather? Show me one scintilla of evidence about weapons of mass destruction, and I will concede, I will register as a frickin' Republican if that'll make you happy.
Okay. When we had 3 branches of government that worked, 2 of those branches had two senators, one from Illinois and one from New York, who voted for their freaking war. Guess who those 2 are? Hillary and Obama.
Get to the weapons of mass destruction. They voted for it because they heard wrong evidence. They voted for it because they believed, which we all wanted to believe, that there were weapons of mass destruction. Okay, you got my vote. There's weapons of mass destruction. Okay. Hey, guess what? We didn't find any, but we're still at war.
So then, okay,
Mark,
Rick,
hang on a minute. You made it. Concede your point, though. Because of faulty.
So you're saying Hillary and Obama know nothing? They are absolute total idiots. They are in government and they are total idiots. Thank you. Thank you.
Bullshit. Ridiculous change orchestrated to go out to start a money for Halliburton. Are you a big fan of? Yes or no? Okay, I'm not a big Grand Arena either. Where it sits. If it sat somewhere else, I might be a bigger fan. But I'm not. Again, I see problems, Mark. I just see problems for it. You know, PPIR opened up in Colorado 25 miles away from my hometown, Pikes Peak International Raceway. And they had grandiose plans. They were going to force NASCAR to give them it was a beautiful 1-mile track. They were going to force NASCAR's hand to get a race at PPIR. So they hosted 2 bush races at the time a year, 2 truck races, a bush race, and 2 Indy Racing League. They had 5 big events all year, and those were them. And their first event was an Indy Racing League event, and they had everybody in there, and it took 7 hours to get the people out because they had a bottleneck that went down to 1 lane to go under the freeway to get back on the freeway and go down a 6-lane freeway. So this bottleneck cost them. There are people that are still writing. If I go to my hometown newspaper, anytime that they have an event there or anything like that, people still mention how they screwed up, and it was parking. It was that thing. So listen, this is a storm that's on the. It might dodge them. It might miss them. They might come up with something that works. But until then, they haven't shown me diddly squat of what is feasible to make parking and traffic and all those things work. So it remains to be seen. But I will tell you this: I'm willing to bet you lunch wherever the hell you want to eat, and you got to do the same thing for me. If we see more reports on how well it went, that's your side, or how crappy it went, that's my up or shut up. Your turn.
Okay. Okay. Once again.
Okay. Say okay. No, we don't want any buts. You okay with the bet?
No. Rick?
No, I didn't think so. Yes.
It was at Mandalay Bay, and you seem to have no problems with the traffic there, which is the exact same situation as it has now.
Where?
Okay.
Talking about Thomas and Mack?
No. Mandalay Bay.
Oh, Mandalay Bay is absolutely a different situation, Mark. They have their own parking. There's prairie across the street if we have extra cars. There's the Monte Carlo next door. There's the Four Seasons. They have the convention area. There is not the same amount on Frank Sinatra Drive. There is no room. The parking structures, I mean, that's their employee parking. They're just not as much room as what they have planned. Say, what, let me see. What did we leave out? Well, the people will take the buses. I'm here to tell you that ain't happening. They'll park at Mandalay Monorail. Okay. then they're going to end up in the front of New York, and have to walk all the way to the back. I'm just telling you, I've seen lazy bastards fight over a parking spot one row closer to Walmart. In the, you know what I mean? This is Las Vegas, so we don't like to walk. We don't like to walk in the heat. We have moving sidewalks. If they had them every frickin' where, more people would be happy than would be upset at the lack of exercise opportunities or whatever. So I'm just telling you, I see that, Mark. I think that's you accuse me of something, not being happy about it. I'm happy for them. I'm happy for my friends. I'm happy for Scott Voller and his group at MGM Mirage, but this is a problem that's not going to go away, Mark, and it's going to be something that we're going to have to deal with. And as a municipality, you know, people raised hell about Carolyn Goodman's wanting to spend public money on the soccer stadium and those kind of things. Okay, well, people are going to raise hell because it's going to take public money to fix this. It's going to take public money to fix that interchange, to make it better. So you know, if we build it, they will come. Yeah, but how the hell do we get them home after? You know, so that's where we're at, Mark. And I believe that there's no way to prove this until it happens. But I'm telling you right now, there's some puckered up people. There's some people that just are saying, man, well, you know, how's it going to work? Show me how this works, and I'm on board. Explain. We go from here to here to here, and everybody gets home in an hour. Okay. You know, I don't think that's unreasonable, Mark. You can get home in an hour from Sam Boyd. Go ahead.
Okay.
Mandalay Bay doesn't sit on an intersection.
Access to Mandalay Bay is the exact same situation as you have with the MGM. Now, I will agree with you. It couldn't
be further from the truth. The MGM is different, Mark. The MGM is not where this arena is. The arena is behind New York. It is in the shadow of the I-15. Absolutely. And there is no, if it was at the MGM, oh my God, the parking that they have there will accommodate anything that they have. There's never a parking issue. I mean, at the MGM, it's a pain in the ass, and you're 20 minutes to get out. Here, it's going to be different, Mark, and I think it's going to take public money to fix this if it's fixable. I don't think MGM Mirage is going to come. Oh, they're going to play poor. Oh, we didn't see this, and God, we fired this guy, and whatever, and we're still going to have this problem. So that's what I see in the future, Mark. And again, I'll take you to lunch, dude. Wherever you want to go. We will trade article for article, comment for comment, whatever we read online or in the review journal. I mean, they're pretty I don't think anyone's more friendly with me than you, or vice versa.
Rick, yes. I totally agree with you that parking is going to be a problem.
Oh, say that again. Wait a minute, I didn't hear you. Say that shit again.
Okay, parking is going to be an issue.
I haven't heard that before.
However,
all right,
you are exaggerating because Mandalay Bay's parking dumps right into Frank Sinatra. Monte Carlo parking dumps right on to Frank Sinatra, okay? And that's before Mandalay Bay put the freaking stoplight in. So the issue
is no parking to dump onto Frank Sinatra. That's what I'm trying to tell you. There is no parking. This is a facility without its own parking, okay, which is asinine to me in planning. And I don't know who did it, but that doesn't make it any less asinine. There is no parking structure at the Mandalay Bay. There is. And it exits both directions. It does exit onto Frankson, go out the side and go right up to the strip and be done. Get onto Russell and go home. You cannot do that there. It's going to jam up that intersection. It's going to be a safety issue because there are people living in that area. There are high-rise hotels. Imagine the clusterfuck that we're talking if there's a fire. Imagine. I'm just telling you.
Other than the homeless, who's living behind New York, New York?
Oh my God, there's huge population around there. There's population right over by the airport. There's area, Mark. You know, there's a lot of people that live by MGM.
Rick.
But for somebody to say, here's the solution. Hey, people don't mind walking a half an hour, Mark. That's what our county commissioner, who okayed this plan, said. Well, people don't mind walking a half an hour. I'll kiss your ass if people don't mind walking a half an hour to an event inside at New York, behind New York, New York. People don't go to New York, because it's a pain in the ass to park at. People don't go, you know what I mean? People don't go there. Las Vegans don't go there because it's already a pain in the ass. Now we've made it a bigger pain in the ass, and we're counting on your dollars. Well, okay, good luck. I hope it works, Mark. I hope I'm wrong. I really do, because we have a lot sporting. We have a lot sporting at stake here. We're talking about an NHL franchise or a soccer franchise or a potential basketball franchise. It's got to work. I don't think it's going to. For those things to come to pass in the next few years, this thing has to work, or we got to start construction on one that will. And if they build another Thomas and Mack rather than refurbishing what they have, I mean, I just think these Mandalay Bay and MGM are totally different. But they both have their own parking, and they you know, you're right, Mark. MGM, Mandalay Bay, yeah, they're self-contained. This is not. There is no parking structure. You're talking about competing casinos cooperating. How much cooperation are you going to get? You know, they wouldn't piss on each other if they were on fire, wanting them to, yeah, you can use some of our parking and we'll accommodate you. And I don't think it's going to happen. So, but I thoroughly believe that this is what's going to happen if they don't get an NHL team? What's going to happen to Mr. Foley and his billions of dollars if he doesn't produce an NHL team? You know, the NHL didn't seem all that hot to trot. You got a brand new stadium, and yeah, we'll think about it. We're not ready to do anything right now. So they haven't enthused the people that say, okay, you now are part of the deal. So again, I really wish the PBR had been able to stay at the Thomas and Mack just for old time's sake, Mark. I love the Thomas and Mack, and I love the fact that the PBR wasn't associated with the casino per se. When they left Mandalay Bay and went strictly to the Thomas and Mack, I think it changed things a little bit. People didn't have to walk through a casino to get there, and the attitude was a little different. The crowd was a little different. They weren't as drunk already. You know, it's harder to get a beer at Thomas and Mack than it is walking through the casino. So, or being in the casino full. You know what I'm talking about, Mark. So I think this is going to change, and I don't think we've seen anything exactly like this ever before here to compare it to. But I don't think it takes an exceptionally good person. You don't have to have a great deal of ESP to see that there are certainly potential problems, and these problems can be a nail in a coffin to whatever goes there if people can't go and they can't get there. And, you know, I mean, you run shuttles or something like that. There's got to be a solution that's better than, well, people, they sure won't. They sure won't. And, you know, I'm willing to tell you right now, I'll kiss your ass if they do. You will have discovered something new to have people do in Las Vegas that they have not shown. So whatever you're putting in the Kool-Aid and they're drinking it, oh, God bless you. But I don't think it's going to happen, Mark. I'm not walking. I wouldn't walk a half an hour. Shit, you'd have to give me a ticket and a hot dog and a beer to get me to go walk half a frickin' hour to go see an event, to walk half an hour back to get in my car and go home. It's not going to happen. I'm just telling you right now.
Rick, the next time you're in Vegas, call me up and I will show you the strip. It's changed a lot since 1955. Yeah. Okay. But I agree with you. Parking's going to be an issue.
Yeah,
but it's not.
Okay. All right, good.
But it's not what you're making it out to be. And the reason for the move is completely because MGM is the corporate sponsor for the World Finals.
Right. Ye frickin' hot.
Ford.
We should have it at the Ford dealership at the Auto Show Mall. Ford is a much bigger sponsor than the MGM. A much bigger sponsor. And again, when it was at the Mandalay Bay, that made sense, Mark, and half and half. It was kind of a convoluted thing, but it was cool. They had the 3 days off in between to kind of relax and maybe do a little bit of corporate schmoozing, and then go back to competition. And now they've changed it up, Mark. So I do not think this is a move overall for the better, because they could be the baby that gets thrown out with the bathwater. They've signed on to do this thing instead of saying, hey, let's see how this works for others. You know, we're not really losing anything to stay at Thomas and Mack one more year. It's not like there's a great deal of stuff going on that last week of October or first week of November. Whenever the PBR World Finals are, whenever they fit into that schedule, there's not a whole hell of a lot else going on, Mark. It's situational. There might be a fight or something like that, or a UFC event. But, you know, there's nothing really big sporting-wise that fits into that time frame. And I think prudence would have said, let's wait and see how this works. You know, we can't get Cowboys to park there. Where have you ever walked in some of the things you see people wear to the PBR? People that have never had their foot in a cowboy boot before, buy them. National Finals Rodeo or the PBR or both. What about the NFR? They've got this brand new contract. Are they going to go next?
No, because it doesn't fit.
How does it not fit? How do the bulls fit and the rodeo doesn't?
Because
those guys don't use all the arena in the rodeo. You're at the national finals. You need 8 feet past the bull chute. I mean, past the cap chute or the steers.
Because with the NFR, you have the riders running in the arena, and at the new arena, at the MGM arena, they just have one end that's got that's got the tunnel. They don't have the 2 tunnels that you have at the Thomas and Mack. And the NFR needs both tunnels. And
why? The only people that run into it is the barrel racers. They're the only ones that use that tunnel, Mark. Again, it's not. I would like to see if we're going to have that be the arena. Okay, be the arena. I liked it when they had boxing at the Thomas and Mack. I thought it was cool that it was not attached to a casino. It was not, it gave us that little diversity. Everything is not casino driven. I don't think the MGM. I think they have not always had the sport that they are making money from with their best interests at heart. They've done some chicken shit things to boxing. They've done some chicken shit things to the sport of boxing for no particular reason, Mark. Not for more money, not for anything, but lack of, honest to God, you don't understand what we're talking about here. Why would we have a second event on the same night? Why couldn't we? Why can't they coordinate? You can coordinate traffic after an event. You should be able to coordinate a schedule.
Well,
have them a week apart.
Well, look at they just released a gaming study, okay? And lo and behold, this group came in and they visited all of the states that have gambling. And they looked at all of the statistics and everything, and they went, gee, these casinos have a really tight hold on the slot machines, and it's hurting them. And it's like, duh, ever since MGM and Caesars and, ever since we became a corporate-owned town, we're run by bean counters that were educated at Harvard. They have no clue to who you and I are. They have no clue to who walks through that front door. They ran out
one set of crooks, Mark, and brought in another set of crooks. What's the difference?
Totally agree with that.
These guys are better dressed. These guys carry calculators and wear Armani suits. And the mob, they didn't all have Armani suits, and they carried 45s. Or you know what I mean? It's one set of crooks to the other, and these guys are less. At least, totally. And I don't know that I've ever had many people disagree with me. For the people that were here when the mafia ran the place, I think a lot of people think it was better, and not just a little bit better, Mark. I think it was much better. And they certainly, if you worked here in Las Vegas, you had some status that I don't think we have from the corporations. And I think we are just so much fodder.
Oh yeah.
And again, I'm not big on them. I think this is when one place has a monopoly. Now, okay, there are problems that come with that lack of competition. This is good for boxing. They brought us the biggest boxing event, crappy as the biggest boxing event in anybody's lifetime that's still alive and breathing in 2015. Floyd Mayweather, Manny Pacquiao, get excited and give me $10 to watch these guys strip down to their underwear and get on a scale. I think they've crossed the line. I think the bean counters won out there, and I think true boxing fans and boxing in general was not helped by that. That's when the people that can't afford a damn ticket get to see their heroes. That's when they get to see Floyd Mayweather Jr. and Manny Pacquiao up close. They don't get to see them in the ring hitting each other. Not that they did a whole hell of a lot of that. There was almost as much action at the weigh-in as there was in the fight itself.
True.
But to start, I think they really crossed the line to charge for that, Mark. And how much money could you possibly make? Yeah, I know you made some, and we're going to give it to charity and this and that, but they left some people out, and everybody that you leave out, you may never get back because they'll find something else to do that day. And if it's something cool that they find, they may never go back to boxing, and they may never go back. I hope it works out for the PBR. We've been there on a Wednesday, Mark, and looked at a Thomas and Mack that's half filled. You can get out of the Thomas and Mack real quick. And you see these things, Mark, and they it just looks like, if I'm going to read the tea leaves at the bottom of the cup here, okay, I see problems, and I see the monopoly problems of being, okay, you have all the fights. Now you have all the sporting events. You have this and that. Now everybody's got a kowtow. Everybody's got to play by your rules or they don't play. I was at Caesars during the heyday when the Olympiad Race and Sportsbook, the home of champions. And Joe Salvador and I were doing the show there, Mark, and Caesars had every boxing event that was big. Steve Wynn came along and built the Mirage. And, of course, okay, let me turn my phone off. So I just got to get a thing to turn it off. Anyway, Steve Wynn opened the Mirage. They started hosting boxing, and there was competition for Caesars. We were doing the show at Caesars, and the thing that we had going for us was they said, listen, if it's good for Las Vegas, if it's good for the Strip, you guys can do it. And so we had no problem whatsoever if there was a headliner fight at the Mirage of doing that and going ahead and promoting it, because Caesars knew the Mirage was right next door. I don't think you see that kind of cooperation anymore, Mark.
No.
The MGM Mirage, which is Caddy Cosmopolitan, has a world championship boxing event on the same night that they have it across the street, then somebody didn't get the memo, and somebody doesn't have boxing's best interests at heart, and they're going to, sooner or later, that's going to come back, and it's going to cost fans and whatever. So, Dana doesn't do that. You look at the UFC, they listen. Dana White cooperates with Jeff Meyer and Tough Enough, or Jeff cooperates with them, but there's cooperation and coordination. Jeff does his thing the night before, and that's how Bally's used to do. When I was at Caesars, Bally's was having a couple boxing events. Some weeks there were more than one, but they always had something. If there was a big event in town, they coordinated their things the night before. So the boxing writers and everybody that was in town covered theirs one night, and then the next night they went to the big event. And so that's how some of these guys got found and made a name for themselves, is boxing, being able to perform here in Vegas in front of the big time riders who would not have normally gone to their event. And now that with the monopoly, I don't think you're going to see that anymore, Mark. I don't think the Mandalay Bay or MGM or wherever they might have an event, or this new arena, are going to have one on Friday and then Saturday. It takes two separate organizations, two separate efforts. You just don't see that as being their motivation, Mark. So okay, again, it remains to be seen how it's going to work out. So.
Okay, let's call it a day.
Let's call it a day. All right, we're wrapping things up here. Again, one of the things, Mark, before we go, we want to give our thoughts and prayers and whatever we can. Eric Kramer, former Chicago Bears quarterback, attempted suicide and did survive. He shot himself. And it ended up being a non-life-threatening gunshot, according to the report from the Los Angeles County Sheriff's deputies. So anyway, we wish Eric Kramer well. I don't know if this is going to be back related to the concussion issue or whatever it is, Mark, but that seems to be the breaking news, along with Tiger Woods shot a 64. Tiger, and not just on the back nine. Tiger Woods shot a 64 for all 18 holes, and it looks like Tiger, if he finishes second or better, he will be in the hunt for the he will be in the playoffs, so to speak, the FedEx Cup for golf, and but if Tiger Woods gets it together, imagine the comeback story that'll be. So anyway, Mark, always a pleasure doing the show with you, and I appreciate all your help. Twisting knobs, turning dials, and folks, we hope you enjoyed. We hope you. listening to Good Sports as much as we do doing it. And I'm glad we don't sit right next to each other because the blood splatter would get on the camera and stuff. So yeah. Anyway, for all of us here at Good Sports, and certainly my friend Mark Anthony, we appreciate you listening, folks, and we'll talk to you again next week right here on Good Sports. I'm Rick Rosen. Good night.
Good night.